Warpless, and I took a peek at Dooley's PB. As you mentioned, it is a bit of an older one, so I don't know if he's changed his strat since then, but it looks like he's a small fire Mario runner, and Dr. Mustache is as well. But it looks like they're getting off to a start here.
Find out shortly.
Oh, interesting decision by Dooley to grab the mushroom in 1-1. That's a safety strat, but usually an indication that the runner might be thinking about Big Mario, but that's not necessarily the case, because 1-2 is a pretty scary level, and some runners might choose to just grab the mushroom to play it safe. But both runners are through 1-1.
I think any SMB 1 runner has tons of fond memories of 1-2.
Yeah, 1-2, even though it's only the second level of the game, it's pretty tricky to do fast. So you got this tunnel here that Mustache is coming up on, so he chooses to kick the shell to kill all those enemies, whereas Dooley's using fire to get through.
Took it slow there with the Goomba falling down, because that did get him in this first race.
Yeah, excellent point. I think he's having some flashbacks of the previous race, so changing up the strats just a little bit there. Not a bad call at all.
Cost maybe half a second.
So Mustache through 1-1, and Dooley is as well.
And stair issues.
Yeah, I had heard you mentioned earlier that Dooley was playing on emulator, which is not what he typically plays, and just by looking at the feed, it does not look like a composite feed, but it could be some sort of fancy RGB setup. Oh no, Dooley takes an unfortunate death in 1-3. But the point I was trying to make is I don't think he's playing with his normal setup, so maybe if he's having a bit of trouble, it's just due to the fact that he's playing under different circumstances. There could be quite a big difference in delay between emulator and playing on original, and if you're not used to it in a game like this that's so precise, it can be tough to compensate for.
Oh yeah, it can be debilitating. I don't know if you've ever tried to play this on the NES Classic, but running is basically non-possible.
I have, and just wanted to point out Mustache got his small fire set up there, so he took damage against Bowser as he grabbed the axe, so now he can be small and get fire abilities. But I have played on the NES Classic, and I was at a friend's house with a bunch of people over, and then wanted to show off my Mario skills and tried the NES Classic out, and I really I really did not live up to the hype that I presented about my Mario skills there, because it was totally different.
Mine was a similar situation.
So Dooley there with an excellent fire kill, while Mustache is through 2-1, off to the first water level of this Warpless race here.
So watch out for those bloopers.
Yep, these blooper patterns can be pretty nasty. But having fire helps a lot. You can just kind of snipe these various bloopers and cheaps as they come along there. Mustache, little turnaround there, he didn't like the pattern he saw, and he said no thank you.
Would call that a shimmy. Damage over on Dooley.
So Dooley looks like he knows where the power-up is there.
It's an awkward power-up.
Very awkward power-up to grab, but I think it was a smart move going into 2-2 the water world to have a power-up. Let's see if he knows the duck swim. So you can actually cut your hitbox in half if you touch the bottom and start swimming as you duck. And he chooses to kind of take a look at his surroundings at the bottom there, but it looks like he went for maybe a duck setup there. I didn't quite see if he got it.
Might have been just making sure that he got it and being overly careful with the emulator situation.
So it looks like we had an audio switch from Mustache's stream to Dodgemasterdooley's. But Mustache is entering 2-4, looking to get his first Bowser kill with fire here. So he had to run under. He had a forward Bowser, but that was excellently handled at
Very
261.
Still just over one level separating them. Actually, two now.
Yeah, I wonder if Dooley will consider grabbing the power-up in 2-3. It's a bit of a risky one to go for, depending on the patterns you get. Looks like he ghosts and chances it, and looks like it paid off. So now he's going to have fire for the remainder of this stage and entering 2-4 as well, while Dr. Mustache clears 3-1 with no problem.
It's a little bit of slowdown to avoid fireworks.
Good looking out.
Dooley going through the castle here. Mustache just going through 3-2.
Dooley taking the top route there. Oh, unfortunate landing on the Bowser's fireball there. But he runs under, grabs the axe, and he's through no problem. Do you think Dodgemaster might consider taking a strategic game over here, given that he has one life left?
I would think so. I would say he'd go for it unless he doesn't realize it.
Yeah, I definitely think that was
It's
intentional.
absolutely intentional. Smart move.
So Mustache heading off into 3-4, so we'll see how bold he is. Depending on if he knows these patterns, he might decide to just go for it. Looks like he slowed down a little bit, so he didn't like what he saw there, but then he got some favorable bars to follow and not so favorable fireballs after that.
Dodgemaster making good use of that star. And back to fire.
These Koopas on the stairs at the end of 3-1 are really annoying, but managed to beat out the 6 on the clock there. Good looking out for Dooley.
4-1. Run. We'll be okay.
So Mustache with a 340. That's what you want to see. That's what you usually will see in 4-1. It's a pretty relaxing stage. So far, Mustache, he's kept the slip slops and the flim flams to a minimum.
He's avoided those dry beans.
Seems like he's executed his game plan so far. Taking a stroll up top there.
A little clip there, and he loses the power up.
Dooley really showing his knowledge of the game, knowing where all the power ups are. I think is a pretty key race. Piece of knowledge that'll help you in races.
Absolutely. I would imagine that the clip there was partially emulator related.
Mustache looking to get a sky butt there. Don't think he got it, but it's not a big deal. Dooley going for the fire kill on Bowser. Excellent job. And he's through to World 4.
Now Mustache is on 4-4. A bit of skating.
You think Mustache knows the maze path in 4-4?
I'm not sure. It's probably just luck that he got it.
So good job, Mustache, handling 4-4. Pretty tricky Bowser there. There's just a lot going on. The fire bar and the Potaboos coming at you.
Dodgemasterdooley is back to small Mario. I don't remember. I thought he was large in the port. I don't know if he took a hit there on 4-1. If it was a hit in 4-1, it just proves that that level is not free.
Yeah, there are at the beginning of 4-1. I didn't see what happened, but at the beginning of 4-1, when you're big, there's a section where you can bonk, and if you're used to playing a small Mario, you just might not be used to handling that. So Mustache through 5-2, which is a pretty treacherous stage. You got all these Hammer Bros. Having fire, obviously a big advantage. But this is where the game really starts to increase in difficulties from World 5 and on.
Dodgemasterdooley finding all those power-ups.
Yeah, you got a couple options for power-ups in 4-2, so not a bad level to take a hit in 4-1 there.
There was a question in chat asking about Dooley, about saying, was it just not his day? Earlier on, we mentioned he's used to playing on CRT, but there are some issues with the CRT, so he's doing this on emulator. And if you've ever tried to go over to the difference in the lag, it can really mess up your gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. Not that there's anything wrong with running on emulator, but when there's different input delay, and once you get used to one, it's really difficult to make the switch in a game like Mario, where the difference between making a jump and not can sometimes just be a couple of frames.
Mustache pushing off Bowser, the fake Bowser.
And Dooley handling the treacherous 4-4 Bowser, but he gets through no problem. Mustache cruising in 6-1.
It's difficult to say how hard the transition is. It is, in my opinion, extremely difficult. Like, it would take solid week or two of really grinding, get comfortable with it. Even after that, I don't think I would be.
Yeah, and depending on the setup that you have, like if you can get like really good monitor and things like that have high refresh rate, and you can try to minimize the input delay, but if you're just using your normal setup and it might not be the most emulator friendly one, sometimes the input delay could be as much as like 10 frames or so. Like, it can be severe, so we don't know what he's dealing with, but it's not an easy switch.
Even if you get it down where it's, just a couple of frames, that still, it just really messes with muscle memory.
So Mustache traversing through 6-3. Looking out for these bullet bills. Sometimes they can give you some awful patterns.
A nice job.
Nice job by Mustache.
Really also dealing with some bullet bills.
Yeah, Dooley did an excellent job there, just to hold up just a bit to get over those bills. Looks like Dooley's starting to find his stride a bit. So Mustache paused there just for a second to set up some favorable bar patterns, and through 6-4 with an excellent 258.
Not too much lagging going on there either.
Oh, Cracker Jacks
Oh.
took a hit there, but manages to get through and under Bowser. So that damage was not too much of a problem for Dooley.
Really pushing those iframes, though.
Mustache slows down there at the end there to avoid a 3 on the clock. Good looking out. Fortunately for Dooley, there's a few power-ups in 6-1.
A bit tough because every time you grab one, Lakitu will throw a spiny at you.
Oh, he chooses to forego the fire pickup there. Interesting decision, because 6-2 is a pretty tricky stage without fire. So we'll see if that strategy pays off.
too.
Mustache was wearing that blooper as a hat for a mere moment there. But,
Wow.
Manages to snipe the blooper just on top of him.
That's his second race in a row with a pretty blocks action.
So Dooley grabbed the power up in 6-2. Smart call there. I guess he just didn't want to deal with Lakitu's nonsense today. Chose to get in 6-2 instead of 6-1.
Mustache out of 7-2. Noticed he was getting a pretty jerky blooper there at the end, but it slowed down this time. Good move.
So let's hope that Mustache gets some favorable flying cheap patterns here.
He's
So
working
far, so
on this
good.
level in practice, so it looks like it's paying off. Very
Nice
nicely
job.
done.
Dooley lands on the bill there.
Ooh, nice job there.
So somebody in chat asked how Mustache's fire Mario while small. There's a glitch in the game where you can take damage as your big Mario as you're grabbing the axe. You take damage to Bowser at the same time, and then it kind of reverses the position of big and small, having 1 health versus 2 health, and then therefore when you grab the flower, you still remain small. So totally legal for both the speedrun of this game and for races. A lot of runners choose to employ that strat. The disadvantage is, so it's not without penalty, but just setting it up takes time. So it's kind of a calculated risk. You choose to lose time to set it up, and then you have the advantage of having smaller Mario, so you hope to make that time up throughout the run.
Though if you get hit while small fire Mario, you end up as big Mario. You have the big hitbox and only 1 hit, so it's the worst of all worlds.
Yeah, Mario goes from a kind of a stealthy little ninja with firepower to a big clunky Mario that can die in 1 hit. So it's not a position you want to be in. Nice 197 for Mustache and 8-1.
He's familiar with any percent, so World 8 should be pretty comfortable for him.
Sure is. And is it a bit premature to say that he's got a bit of a stew going here?
I don't think so. Definitely a stew is on the stove, at least on low heat.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's having a damageless run at this point. Sometimes hard to remember these things when you're focusing on 2 races.
To set up small
He's
fire.
going for the BBG, and he hits it.
Oh.
Nice. Good job, Dr. Mustache. I don't know if he got fireworks on that one. It was a little slow. Oh, just 1. That was totally worth it.
That was swag.
If that's not Cracker Jacks and Bugles, I don't know what is. Stu confirmed indeed. I think he must have heard us even questioning the fact of whether this was a stew or not. And that was his sprinkling of the pepper on the stew. Nice cookie staircase.
42, that's what you want. He just has World 8-4.
So Dooley into 7-3 as small. There's a power up here. It's a really tricky one to get, so I'm not sure if he'll go for it. While Mustache is going through the last and final stage here, 8-4.
Just hold it together. Pretty happy with this run.
Hits the wall jump. Nice job, Dr. Mustache. He's on a torrid pace right now. I mean, it's not a PB pace, but this is certainly a race PB for him by a country mile, I believe, considering he's only had 1 race ever.
Yes, and in his long history of races.
So what variety of Cracker Jacks are we going to see here in the final room?
Cracker Jacks are dry beans. Oh, takes a little hit.
Takes damage, but he could afford it.
1935.
GG.
34.
Dr.
Very
Mustache.
well done.
excellently played race. I don't think he lost his power-ups up until, if you count that going through Bowser's hammers there. I think it was a damageless run.
I think you're right.
I think he executed his race strategy to a T there.
Dodgemasterdooley getting on into World 8. So this is a good improvement over his first race where he was still getting used to the emulator.
Yeah, after kind of the early game, he really started to show signs of improvement there. Taking a death at the beginning of 8-1 is not super costly, especially given the number of lives he has there. So we'll see if Dr. Mustache will grace us with his presence and join us for an interview.
I don't think he'd want to talk about that one.
I think he would want to talk about that one, but I'm not so sure he wants to talk to us specifically.
Good point. Really going to make good use of the star there.
Yeah, great strat. Allows you to not have to slow down and try out those pipe jumps.
Getting that a little left tap there.
It's a nice touch.
Better a little bit slower than dead.
Yeah, I don't know what construction company they hired for those steps, but there's a few gaps in between them.
Just a couple.
Dooley going for the power up in A2. It's a little bit of a risky one, but it pays off in this situation. Decides to go for a ride on the bill there just for a brief moment.
Holy bills. Oh, opting to go through here to pass those 3 chickens.
Yeah, getting through those 3 chickens there when you're big can be a little bit cumbersome, so I'm going to call that a BBG. That's a BBG attempt. I don't know if it was physically possible to do it from that angle, but that's a BBG attempt in my books.
Imagine that he was trying to keep his power up specifically for 8-3 here.
Oh, absolutely.
Those are awful.
8-3 without power-ups is a doozy and a dilly. So he manages to grab his power-up there.
One more he can get in the level.
Yep, we'll see if he decides to go for it, and he does. So that'll just allow him to get through these final 4 Hammer Brothers without having to test them. You could just kind of shoot them instead.
This makes them a lot more manageable.
Giddy on up and giddy on down. He's through 8-3. All right, let's cheer for Dodgemaster as he's going into 8-4.
Close to falling into the ragu there, but he saw it and he was able to correct himself.
I think he just wanted a big old whiff just to see what he was missing out on and decided it wasn't worth it.
He's a Prego man.
Goes for the wrong warp.
I'll swim here.
Into the pipe and into the final room.
And Lodaboo. Finishing it off. Nicely done.
GG Dodgemasterdooley, enough iframes to get through to Bowser and onto the axe. 2409. I know he's not playing under his normal conditions, but I think he handled the situation very, very well and really seemed to have a strong second half of the race there.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to be getting a little bit used to the different lag.
So I'm not sure if either of these runners were planning to join for an interview, but we'd be happy to have them. Mustache is looking to receive an invite.
So tournament-wise, that win puts Dr. Mustache at 2-0, and the loss puts Dodgemasterdooley at 0-2.
Yeah, so Mustache has a race scheduled for tomorrow against a little-known runner known as GT Ace. I think he's pretty new to Warpless. But with a 2-0, I think he's in pretty strong standing. But I think there's still potential for multiple 2-1 situations.
Yeah, it could if Miniland ends up beating GT Ace and Dooley, then he could end up in definitely in a 3-way one situation.
So it looks like both Dodgemaster and Mustache are interested in joining us. Just waiting for the invite.
They're waiting. Might as well point out that this is a international commentators flavor for there. Have to disagree or agree to disagree on how to spell flavor, though. There's no U.
International, but same hemisphere. So this is where my ignorance is going to show. I'm not sure if I'm responsible for sending the invite, but in all previous races that I've commentated, it just sort of happened. Give it another minute or two, give them a chance to see if they can get an invite, and if not, we'll unfortunately have to move on. But I don't mind waiting another minute. How about you, Take?
Not at all. Can mention that we have a race coming up between JT Knott and Supersonic. It's 9 p.m. Eastern in 30 minutes or so, and then an hour after that, it's going to be Supersonic versus London B.
So a full night of races.
Full night of Supersonic.
Yeah, Supersonic going for the back-to-back races. That's always an interesting call when runners decide to do that. You can, if you have a good first race, you can ride that adrenaline and confidence into the next one, or, maybe that adrenaline might be too much to handle. So
ACM is saying we need to mark the runners as done.
all right, I think I'm going to try to send Dr. Mustache an invite.
We did not, Rupert. I don't know if either of us knows how to do that.
All right, I think I got Mustache an invite.
Well, would you look at that?
Hey there, Dr. Mustache. Tig, if you don't mind taking over while I try to invite Dodgemasterdooley.
I know. Last time there was talk of bifocals, and I took the brunt of it. It's just a pattern that makes it seem like, oh, Dr. Mustache struggles on the computer there. But I swear I did not have access to the interview.
There's no conspiracy there.
Mustache, I think we're echoing on your TV there. If you don't mind turning down the volume.
Bifocals confirmed.
How's that? I can still hear you.
That's better.
Much better. Okay, so time for some seriousness, but GG on the race, 1935, I believe. And I also believe it was damageless. Is that correct?
It was until Bowser's hammers, if I remember.
Yeah, until 8-4, you did take damage on Bowser. Excellent race.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you got to be happy with that one.
I mean, I'm ecstatic. Based on my practice session today, it kind of came out of nowhere. I was playing very poorly. I couldn't get 3 or 4 levels in a row without some kind of slip-slop, so I'm really happy with that.
Another encounter with a blooper in 7-2. Another close call. You sniped
Yeah, this
him.
time that was on me for sure because I played 7-2 as safe as I could the whole way. So I thought that was fine. Fine that there was a blooper at the end.
So let's try for that
ambulance going by.
So any plans to celebrate after this race? I know you can't celebrate too much because you got another race scheduled tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I have exciting plans actually. I'm taking a walk right after this.
Daring to go out in the world.
Yeah, going out only after dark. Safe.
So in a moment here, Dooley should be joining us.
Yeah, you had a little incident in 8-2. Mustache, do you want to talk about that?
I'm struggling to remember what happened. Oh, I think I was in the midst of a BBBB, a creepio BBBB, in fact, because I felt kind of spry at the end. A couple jumps came up short, and as far as I know, I can't trust the final B to fall into place, so I just jumped onto the staircase, to wait it out. I saw a bullet shot. I thought, hey, what's the worst that can happen? I'll just get the coin toss, right?
Pretty Cracker Jacks.
Cracker Jacks is right.
Indeed, and I guess I would have, because you kind of were at the stairs, so it probably did save you a little bit of time. I think you got a 1 on the clock, so if you go for the normal BBG setup and are a little late, you can get the 6 fireworks, but you managed to avoid all that together, and everybody in chat was pretty hyped when you hit that BBG. And in fact, Dodgemaster actually went for a BBG attempt of his own, but got coin tossed, unfortunately.
Dang, I'm excited to watch it back. So I wasn't following whatsoever, so I actually don't really know how it went for him. I'm excited to hear his thoughts. He looks like he's in setup. Is he waiting on anything, or?
Let's see, I'll move him over. Out. There we go.
Hey, Dodgemasterdooley, can you hear us?
Shout again.
Unfortunately, having some technical difficulties, which with Dodgemaster, see him joining the live on air, but then getting kicked out immediately.
Can you hear us, Dodgemaster?
Oh,
just for a second.
We heard him for a split second, and then it lost connection.
Time's the charm.
Dooley, I think you're in the chat now. Oh, just as I say that, he got
Commentator's curse.
Hello.
Oh, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Oh, Dodgemasterdooley, I'd just like to say GG on the race, 24:09.
That was rough.
You had a rough start there, but you seemed to find your stride in the second half. I caught wind that you were having some problems with your CRT and were forced to switch to emulator setup. Is that correct?
I get my CRT to work, and for some reason it's just when it I don't know, it has something to do with the yellow wire between like the console or something, or the splitter. But for some reason, I was getting a signal on my OBS, but not on my TV. So I'm like, I gave myself enough time to try it out, but it wasn't working. And this whole weekend, I don't get to practice as much as I used to because health reasons and stuff. But it's just all I'm here for is for fun and not to go too crazy and see if I still got it. Doing them later and all.
Wait, so were you playing through the OBS that you were watching?
No, I was playing. The only thing that worked for me was BizHawk.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was it was just a delay. I probably been done better if I did through OBS probably, but things happen, and I made a decision to use BizHawk, and it went a lot better than my first race. So I mean, things happen, and
Yeah, absolutely. It's not easy making the switch, especially once you've gotten used to one method over the other. But you really seem to find your stride in the second half, and we're provided an entertaining race for chat here. Everybody was excited to see your progress throughout the race.
Yeah, like I said, things happen, and I'm not like really. I mean, I almost wasn't gonna do this race because I didn't know how I feel. But to be honest, I mean, things are just just want to play some kind of fair game. I mean, I don't practice 8 hours like I used to every day. It's just this is just like I guess kind of like Rocky Balboa, where it's like you got old, like trying to fight one more time.
I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of with your performance. I think you did pretty darn well.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate you continuing in the tournament, even with the technical issues. And it's important to remember that this is a race, and it is for fun. And glad you were able to showcase a lot of your skills throughout the race today. I noticed that you decided to go Big Fire. Do you typically play Small Fire Mario, or?
I mean, I do, but when it comes to emulator, it just makes it harder for me, so I just play.
Yeah, the setup in 1.4 with a couple frames of delay, I can imagine would make it a little less comfortable to set up. But you displayed a lot of knowledge of the game. You knew where in various areas, you knew exactly where to grab your power-ups to continue on. In one area, you took a strategic game over where we weren't sure where your lives were at, but I think it paid off.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just here to have fun and network and see all the Mario players out there and just do it.
I can be sure everybody in chat happy that you put on a show for us.
And,
all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go take a run. I'm practicing for a 5K, so I'm just gonna get going and before it gets too dark out, and I wish everyone the best.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Good luck on the 5K.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Dodgemaster.
I just wanted to say GG to Dodgemasterdooley before you head out. Thanks for the race. Really appreciate that, and good luck with your future race. I think you have one left, so I think it's just one more race.
Yeah, maybe start trying to charm.
All right, enjoyed that run.
And that's take it easy, right?
Thanks, Dooley.
Dooley.
All right, Mustache. Any final thoughts? I was speculating that was a race PB. I think this is only your second official race, but you've done other races in the past against runners practicing for this tournament. Was this a race PB for you?
Ooh, I think it was. I just did one or two races prior to the tournament, and I think I had one decent sub 20, but yeah, I think it's a race PB. So yeah, everything went almost as perfectly as you can hope for. So my final thought is I've now become the biggest fan of GT Ace that you can find. So I kind of hope he beats the pants off of all his remaining opponents, myself included.
Yeah, we were mentioning earlier how there's potential for multiple 2-in-1 situations. So it would be in your best interest if he went 3-0 for the remainder, because that would guarantee you a position in the next round.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can control your own destiny if you manage to pull off a win against your race with him tomorrow. Curious to know, will your strategy change going into a race with a player such as GTA, with a 19 flat PB, or do you just stick to your guns, stick to what you normally do?
I wish I could say I had like some kind of strategic mastermind play up my sleeve, but yeah, unfortunately there's nothing whatsoever I can do but run my race, and I need help from him. Like, let's be honest, he throws down 19 OXs and 19 1Xs when he messes up, and that's better than my actual PB. So I'll just run my race, look for 1920, 1930, and hope for a little bit of help from him. And you're right, I didn't actually really consider possibility that I could win out, but I guess I do control my own fate.
Does knowing that you just gotta run the best you can, does that help, hurt with nerves for the race at all?
I think I'll have forgotten about it by then, so I think I'm going to go on my celebratory walk, and then I'll get back to work.
I do have one question about your race. In 1-2, you slow down for the falling Goomba.
Yep.
Is
that the question?
Yeah.
I think the question was that related to what happened in the previous race? Because you took an unfortunate death there, and it can be a little unpredictable.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that. Yeah, I did. I learned my lesson. That's a bit risky to run through without slowing down. I think just a left tap guarantees safety, and I don't know if it loses time or not in the end. Learned my lesson. Well, I still struggled with the 1-1 underground, and I think I did the staircase though. But the nerves are like, they peak right at the beginning for some reason.
Yeah, it's pretty common to see jitters in racers right at the beginning and then right at the end. There's the anticipation of the race starting and just waiting in the SRL chat. Things can really build up, but you seem to have caught your stride definitely and ended up with an excellent 1935. So with that, I'd just like to say GG again and good luck on your race tomorrow. Tig, do you have any final thoughts?
Same thing, GG, good luck. Thanks to SpeedGaming and all the competitors in this.
And GG again to Dodgemasterdooley. And with that...
Thanks a lot, Bismarck and Tig, for the commentary, and thanks again, Dooley, who's off on his run, I guess, and thanks to everyone in chat for sticking it out, and the admins as well. So I just reflect what Bismarck and Tig said.
And everybody in chat, make sure to follow Dodgemasterdooley and Dr._Mustache. And if you don't have anything to do for the rest of the night, stick around and chat because we got a full night of races coming up. So,
our technical difficulties. And you don't have to wait long.
All right, guys. I think I'm going to sign off and pass it on to the next commentators. But thanks so much, and have a great night.